Welcome to Surviving to Thriving with Clare Downham, where I share insights on the inside-out nature of life so you can stop the inner critic running the show and step into thriving in every aspect of your life. I hope you find this episode helpful. So today, an insight around doing difficult things and how that really is the only route to success. I've just come off a conversation with a client, I've come off it just buzzing with this, and I wanted to share it with you straight away. So I wasn't planning to make this video today, but that's okay, because when something is alive within us, like, just get on and share it and get it out into the world tends to be my view these days. And we were talking together about a number of sort of different, I guess, famous people who've done well in the world. And I was talking about Ericsson, and my client was talking about somebody else. And we were talking, we sort of got for a minute talking about the things that they did, the things that they actually, the things that we saw them do, like, like Ericsson with the light bulb, how he turned up and failed multiple times. They say thousands of times before he actually created the light bulb, which we're all super grateful for. I'm sitting under mine today because the sun hasn't quite come round the back of my house, so I'm not getting any much light through the window. So we'd be a bit stuffed without light bulbs, wouldn't we, really, in our modern world? And so what he did was he did the hard thing, in that despite yesterday having turned up and made 3 failing light bulbs, the next day he turned up again and made 3 more failing light bulbs, and he must have done that day after day after day. I'm not 100% sure of Ericsson's full story, but he did turn up multiple times and fail and fail and fail and fail again. And he just kept getting up and carrying on. He kept getting up and doing it again and again and again. And the person that, I can't remember the name of the person my client was talking about, this person kept going and having really difficult conversations with people who he was trying to persuade to his perspective in order to create success in the business that he was involved in. It was doing the difficult things. Like, that was what created the success. Now, I don't doubt for 1 minute that as people go to do those difficult things, I know it for myself, I'm sure you know it for you, there will be some noise from the inner critic. There will be some feelings of self-doubt. There will be some feelings of discomfort. There'll be thoughts that say, no, you can't do that. That's not how this is done. That, you failed 500 times. Why don't you just give up? I mean, I suspect for Ericsson, there were probably people outside of him. I know there were people outside of him saying, seriously, mate, it's time to pack it in. You give it up as a bad job. It's not working. But he didn't give up. He kept going. Now, where is that a thing for you? Where I think the difficult things are not difficult because generally they're not difficult because we physically can't do them. They generally feel difficult because there is this resistance within us, that voice in our head, that inner critical voice, as I call it, that just keeps chipping away every time we go to do something. And I was saying to my client, if we think about this thing we call the comfort zone, every time, there is no such thing as a comfort zone, by the way. It doesn't actually exist. It exists in thought. So as we expand, as we go to do bigger things and harder things and more challenging things, things that feel unsafe to this safety mechanism called the inner critic, of course it comes in and says, no, don't do that. You're going to get seen. People are going to judge you. You're not, they're going to say no to you anyway. So why even bother? And that brings about fear. I mean, there's only one way to describe that feeling, and it is fear. It's fear. It brings about fear. And we keep butting up against that as we um, expand that zone. And really, that that expansion is almost, it's a falling away. It's just a continual falling away of the old restrictive thinking, the things we learn in childhood, the things that held us back. It's just a falling away of that. And as more and more of that falls away, we become more comfortable, I guess is the word, in doing things. Now, the key is not to wait for the comfortable. If it all feels really comfortable, you're probably not expanding that zone. Now, a lovely teacher of mine, Clare Downham, she talks about the lab work and the field work. So when I work with a client, that is lab work. We're having conversations, we're discussing how things work, we're discussing how those things are working out in their lives, etc. And the field work, as Clare Downham calls it, is getting out there and doing things. And really, the only way to create success is by doing things that feel difficult. Now, this is the irony of this, is that is led by the inner knowing element. It's led by this sense of your expansion to become or to reveal who you really are. But it feels uncomfortable because invariably when we go to that edge, of where our thinking says we should be, the thinking that has created this idea of who you are, which is not true, we are going to feel some discomfort because there is going to be this sense of, no, you belong here in this little box, safe and sound. Don't go to the edge of the box, or go outside the box, for goodness sake. You'll probably die. Like you'll be judged, you'll be criticized. That will feel awful. Don't do that. Now, the other thing that came to mind for me as we were talking, that where people have found success, we look at what they have done. We go, all right, well, Ericsson did failure after failure after failure of making a light bulb. So that's the way to do it. We just have to keep failing and failing. Now, I absolutely think we probably do need to keep failing. Like, who knows whether this video is a success or a failure? And who actually cares? I don't really care. I'm just sat here doing it. And I'm hoping it's going to land with somebody, and I'm hoping it's going to help somebody along the way. But I'm doing it because there is a passion within me to share this stuff and to help people. So what we tend to do is we tend to look at an icon of success, whoever that is, whether that's some business coach or some fellow coach or somebody in your business where you work, or somebody who seems to have got it cracked with, meeting new people or whatever it is. We look at what they're doing and we say, oh, that's how to get to success. Because look at that person, they're now making more money and they've now got successful relationships. They've now got that promotion. That's not it. It's not what they did. It's the fact that they did something that scared them to death. They did something that was difficult for them, because in that way, they overcame that inner critical. They stepped towards their inner knowing. They followed where they were being led. And that's actually the route to success. The route to success is not doing particular things. It's doing the things that you find most difficult. Honestly, this is so transformational to see that it's not doing what everybody else is doing. It's not following somebody else's plan. It's not doing it a particular way. It's doing the thing that comes to mind for you to do, that feels aligned with you, but then feels difficult because immediately that inner critical noise comes in, that kind of that brings up fear in the body. We then avoid. Now, I've been following and working with a lovely man called George Cow recently, and I'm going to put a link to George Cow wherever you're listening to this or reading it or whatever. Reading it, you can't read it because it's a video or an audio, but wherever you're accessing this, I'm going to put a link to him. What he does throughout the day is just pauses. Like, I advocate the pause. He does this little energy reboot thing, which is really cool, and it's just some breathing, some saying some nice words to yourself, like just a word like love, peace, gratitude, etc. Breathing in, breathing out, just pausing. And it's very similar to what I say a lot of the time, is to just, whenever you feel that you're being knocked off path, is to bring yourself back to the now. Bring yourself back to the present moment in whatever way makes sense to you. It might be to do George Carroll's Energy Reboot, which I will pop somewhere under this video. It might be just to take a breath and feel your feet on the floor. It might be, what I often recommend is to just sit with that discomfort. Just feel it, allow it to be there, and know that it's okay for it to be there. Take a breath, have a pause, and then notice that you find yourself going back to that thing that you were meant to do. It happened to me early this morning. I made another video because I'm on a little bit of a video roll today, and I was going off to do something else, and I stopped and I made the video. I did the same with this video. I could have gone off and done something else. I could have been faffing at my computer, but I'm here making this because this is what I want to share with the world. And the more you do these things, as I say, this comfort, this zone of comfort expands, and it's just so cool to see that happening. And you become more of who you truly are, and you can show up authentically in your life, in your business, in your work, and change the world, which I know is what you really want to do. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's been a new perspective on this. It's not what they've done. It's the fact that they did hard things, things that were hard for them, not things that were hard that are hard for you, things that were hard for them. Do what's difficult for you and you will expand. Watch this space. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on Surviving to Thriving. I hope this session has been helpful. If it resonated, I'd love for you to follow me and maybe share this episode with someone you care about. Until next time, be kind to yourself and trust your inner knowing.